So my safety officer once said to me, everything that happens, it always happens on a dark and stormy night. It always starts off like a horror movie, right? It was a dark and stormy night. He said, well, that's literally how all my safety reports start out, which I came to find out is at least partially true. There was a day I went into work, I literally almost burned down the duty free. Now, I'm not saying that for shock, that's literally what happened. And it all started with an ABS light that I ignored. Now, I had a reason for ignoring it. I'll get to that later. I shouldn't have ignored it. Anyway, I went to work at about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was downpouring. So I did my pre-trip, got in my truck, and everything was good when I left the yard until I got about 10 kilometers outside of Windsor. That's where the ABS light went on. So it's downpouring. The ABS light comes on. I think nothing of it. I mean, I thought something of it, but I didn't think anything severe of it. I get into Windsor, ABS light's still on. It's downpouring. I start seeing, you know, mist come up off my tires. There had been mist coming up off my tires the whole time, but now we're in the city, the lights are on, and I can see the mist behind my tires. So I happened to get a lot of green lights. I got almost all the green lights. I think it was right toward the end. I was almost to the bridge. I had green lights. And when I did stop, I thought, wow, there's still mist. It's funny how your brain works. There's still mist coming up from my tires, but there can't be mist coming up from my tires because I'm not moving. So as a formality, and I thought it was a formality at this point, still was thinking I'm probably fine. I got to the last light and I said, you know what, I'm just going to pull into the duty free just to make sure. Now, if I thought there was anything, if I really thought there was anything going on, I wouldn't have pulled into the duty free. But in my naive or my hopeful optimism, I thought, well, this is going to be a formality just like every other time. So I get into the duty free. I park right next to the building, of course, because that's the intelligent thing to do. I get out, walk to the back all nonchalantly. And when I bend over by my driver's side tandem, rear driver's side tandem, what I see, the drum is bright red. And there's a dust cover on this thing, so there's kind of like a little hole inside the dust cover. I look inside this thing and I think I'm seeing what, I don't know, I thought maybe I was seeing a flame in there, but I don't know. I looked at this, I'm like, holy shit! I ran back to the front of the truck, I jumped in my truck, and I started backing out of the duty free. Now anybody that goes through that area knows that's not a safe thing to do. It's very tight, right? You can't see if there's a truck coming in or not, but I didn't care. I had to get the truck out of there. I didn't want to drive the truck onto the bridge or anywhere near the bridge. So I backed out. Thankfully, it was early enough in the morning that there was nobody there. So I backed this thing out, and I didn't care. I was getting out of that duty free. I back out onto the road, and I run across the road into the duty free, and I say, hey buddy, do you have a fire extinguisher? Now, of course, I had a fire extinguisher on my truck, but I wanted to have another fire extinguisher just in case. So I go in there, and he's like, yeah. I said, yeah, can you come on, like, right now? And might want to call the fire department too. So he comes out with his fire extinguisher. He looks at it. He's like, holy shit. So yeah, I'll call the fire department. So yeah, do me a favor. I'm going to spray this thing, try to cool it down. So he calls the fire department. And I'm telling you, I looked inside the dust cover. Foolishly, I got close. And it looked like it was flickering, like it was about to go up. And so I start spraying this thing. An attendant comes over, it's the security guard. He comes over, and we're standing here looking at this. We're just standing there looking at this tire from the back. We're behind the trailer. And as we're standing there, the tire blew up. It exploded in our faces. And I got hit in the forehead with something. Thankfully, it didn't go in my eyes. Excuse me. I got hit in the forehead with something. I was bleeding from my forehead. But the crazy thing is, I've never had that happen to me before. And as we just stood there, we just sat there, I was looking at it like this. It blew up. I never even had time to react. And even after it blew up, we were both still standing here looking at it like this. And it was the loudest pop I think ever. I never had a tire blow up in my face like that before. So it went from bad to worse. Fire department shows up. They put it down to 1 lane. So I'm standing out there. People are driving by watching me stand there like a doofus. And they start cooling down my tire. All of that happened because of a duty-free. All that happened because of the ABS light that was ignored. And so the mechanic, we had to call roadside. Roadside came out. They took the tire off. They did something because they got me going right there. I think he had to rebuild the whole brake system, like right there, the brake chamber, the slack adjuster, all that stuff, things I don't really, honestly, I don't know much about. So I think he rebuilt it right there because he got me going right on the spot. I was there for probably a good 5 hours, and we got our shop on the phone, and the shop's like, "Why the hell did you drive with an ABS light on?" And now this is where I have an explanation for why I drove with the ABS light on, because that particular company, as good as they were, they had a tendency of, they conditioned you to not care about your ABS light. And I'm not a mechanic. I'm a truck driver. So I listen to the mechanics. I defer judgment to the mechanics. So I'd been with this company for quite a while. And sometimes when it was convenient, or when there was no other choice, they would fix the ABS light, unless it was inconvenient for them. They didn't like spending money on roadside. Most of the time, they would tell you just to, let it go till it comes back up to the shop. One time I went up to the shop, I had an ABS light on, and the mechanic, his solution to fixing it, because he didn't feel like fixing the ABS, was just to take the light out of the dashboard. He then explained to me that was the second truck that week that he had just taken the ABS light out of the dashboard. So you would never know if the ABS isn't working, right? Other times we were kind of instructed to just unhook the wire at the back if that was possible. If you had the right trailer, you could unhook the wire at the back. That would get you back to your yard. It'd shut the light out, so you weren't a heat score for the DOT or the MTO. So we were fairly conditioned just to not take it that seriously, but I learned a lesson that day. You need to take it seriously. If you see an ABS light on, you need to take it seriously. You're always learning out here, and I learned my lesson that day. So back to the mechanic. With the mechanic, he says to me, this isn't your fault, because I'm fighting with the mechanic on the phone, right? Or our mechanic, not the mechanic that came to fix us, not roadside. I'm having this argument with our mechanic. We're going back and forth, and everything I just told you about how we're conditioned. No, we're not told to take this seriously, right? We're fighting back and forth. He's trying to pin it on me, and the mechanic who came to fix, he said, "Well, this wasn't your fault, by the way. Just so you know, it's nothing you did." He was taking the lug nuts off the tires. Like, I'm taking these off, fairly easy. You know what I think happened? I think that they weren't torqued. That's what I think happened. It's like, well, whatever that, okay, sure, we'll go with that. It's not my fault. They weren't torqued. I don't know, whatever. So he got on the phone with my mechanic, and he said, it's not your driver's fault. He said that the lug nuts weren't as tight as they should have been. So, now I thought maybe that was because they expanded from the fire. Maybe that had something to do it, but I wasn't saying anything there. I was shutting my mouth. I was winning, so why talk, right? So he went to bat for me, and and that was the end of it. And about 2 months later, I got a call from our safety department. He says, "Did you have a truck? Did you have a tire blow up in your face, and you didn't tell me? You didn't report this? You didn't report that you had the fire department call?" Like, well, I did, kinda. I called up the shop. So in the melee, I guess I forgot to even let our safety department know, and I would have figured he would have got a report from the shop, but nobody told him. So anyway, that was the story, and I'm not really sure how to end this story, because the takeaway from this is, Take your ABS light seriously. If you're a new driver listening to this, learn from my mistake. Take your ABS light seriously. It might be more than you think. Or if it does come on, maybe stop after a bit and make sure it's not smoking, I guess. I don't know. And if you do think that it is, if there is something going on, if you think it's possible there's something going on, don't stop your truck anywhere near a building. Stop somewhere else. Don't have this hopeful optimism that everything's going to be okay, because it isn't going to. It might not be, and you have to have a way to get out of the situation you're in. If you're parked in a busy spot where you can't back up, there's nowhere to move, you're screwed. Imagine if I had just ignored this and drove up onto that Ambassador Bridge into Detroit, and I'm sitting there. Just imagine if I was sitting there in the lineup of trucks waiting to get cleared by customs, and my trailer went up in flames with all those trucks around, all these owner operators who very proud of their trucks. Just imagine they had nowhere to move their trucks because they're stuck right next to me and we're in the duty free. That would have been chaos. So I'm happy I at least pulled it off before I got to that point, but I shouldn't have went into the duty free. So anyway, that is my story. Now, before I end this, I posted a picture a while back about it is about fitness in the trucking industry. Might not realize this, of course. Why would you realize this? I'm just a talking head on the internet. I'm not only a truck driver, I also have a diploma in personal training, and I was a competitive bodybuilder, and I was also a certified trainer for a couple of years. And so my intent is to put out a full-length video. I got my slides all ready for it. I've just been busy. The video is about how to stay in shape when you're in the truck, if you're doing over the road. Because I've done long haul before. I know what you're going through. And even as a short haul driver, I know what we're going through here, right? You don't have a lot of time. You're tired at the end of your day. You just, when you're on the road, it's harder to eat healthy. There's more challenges there, right? Plus, it's easier to get lazy. So I got a video. It's going to be coming out. I haven't recorded it yet. I simplify it. I walk in your shoes. If you're a new driver, you need to watch this video. You don't want to miss this, because I'll simplify it so you have realistic expectations. And if you've been into it in the truck for quite a while, as you're starting to gain weight, you're just not feeling like you used to, it might save your life, right? It might save your career. So you need to watch this, and I understand there's other more popular influencers out there. There's guys with millions of followers, but the difference is I've walked in your shoes. I know the lifestyle, okay? I know what your challenges are. I know what's realistic in this. And so, trying to shred for a bodybuilding show when you're a truck driver is not really realistic. So I'm offering you realistic advice on how you can stay thin and trim and healthy in the trucking industry. So you don't want to miss that video. It could save your life. It could keep you from getting obese. Anyway, that's your teaser. If you're interested in that, it should be dropping in a couple of weeks. I just had a couple of interviews that I did, and I kind of put my stuff on the back burner. I'd rather do interviews. So hopefully I can get some time to put that out. Anyways, till next time, keep the rubber side down, drive safe. Have a good weekend.